Hello everyone. So today's activity, we're going to do two separate things. I'm going to first show you how to average your data using a formula instead of using a calculator to average these out. And I'm also going to show you how to build a graph based on the data that we get. But we're not going to graph all our data. I just want you to graph specific data. So be sure you pay attention to this video and you can watch it a couple times through. First of all, let's start with our averages. To do an average, you need to click on the average column and go ahead and click on equal sign. And this is how you start a formula. I could start to type in the word average, like AVE, then I could pick the word average from the list. Here it is right here. So I'm going to click on average. Now I just need to select the cells that I want to average, and it's all these cells. Be sure that they don't have centimeters or any other measurement inside these cells. It just needs to be the numbers and the numbers only. So now I'm going to highlight the 4 trials for my squishy orange, which is pretty easy. They're all 0, so it's going to average to 0, obviously. But I'm doing this with the formula. So once I have my 4 cells selected, it automatically pops in over here. I hit enter, and that average shows up. Of course, it's going to be a 0. I'm going to do this again for this next little spot here. I have the cell selected. I'm going to click the equal sign, start to type in the word average, AVE. I pick average from my list. Now I just need to select the cells I need it to average. I click on these 4 cells, or I drag and drop, starting with trial 1 all the way over to trial 4. You can see all 4 of those little boxes are highlighted. Now I click enter, and there's my average, automatically done. So equal sign, start to type in average, select it from my list. I select the cells I want to have automatically averaged for me, these 4 cells. I hit enter, and there it is. So I'm going to do that with my final cell. Click the symbol for the equal sign, start to type in the word average, pick it from the list, drag over the cells I need averaged, and I hit enter. You need to do that for these next 3 rows that are your own data for the ball that you chose. 3 different balls that you chose for your own experiment, and those same averages here. Now, you do need to average the data I have provided for you. You just can't write in the averages I put in here. When I go to grade this assignment, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to click on each of your averages. I'm going to look at this line over here, and it will show me if you used a formula. The formula will show up in there. If you kind of took a shortcut and just typed in those numbers there, just the number like 19.5 would show up here instead of this formula. So be sure that you're using the formula, because I want to teach you how to do that automatically for science data tables in the future. So now we have our data, and I want to graph that data. I don't want to include all the data for my trials. It'll have way too many bars in my bar graph. So in order just to graph my averages, this is what you're going to do. I'm going to select the cells that I want to be in my graph. I'm selecting these ones because they're only ones that have the titles in them. I would select all of these when it's your turn to do this, because you have your own titles of the different types of balls that you used, including the 4 I put on there. But for my purposes, I'm just going to select these first 4 because the next 3 are blank. I'm going to hold down the control button, and while keeping that control button pushed, I'm going to go ahead and select the column for average too, and just highlight those things, including the little title above each of those columns there. And now I go up here, and I'm going to click on Insert Charts, and there's my graph. It's pretty good, but it doesn't have the labels on the left-hand side. So I'm going to go ahead and customize my chart over here, and I'm going to add a title to the top of my chart, and I'm also going to get a label over here for this axis and this axis down here. So I'm going to click on Chart and Axis Titles. Starting with the chart title, let's go ahead and name it what our lab's called: Elastic Energy in Balls. So there that is, and you can see that popped up right up there. Now I'm going to switch it from chart title to vertical axis title, which is your y-axis. That's this one over here. And these numbers are representing the measurement or height of the bounce. So I'm going to do that. Height in centimeters. Since we were measuring centimeters in this lab, it's important to have our units of measurement so we know what these numbers represent. So as soon as I typed it in here, it popped up over on that y-axis. Now we just need a title to know what we're talking about on the bottom. So I'm going to do horizontal axis title, and I'm going to title that one type of ball. You could also get pretty fancy with some of the other things on here with their customization. You could, on top of each of these bars, you could add the number to the top of there. There's a few things that you could do with this to get a little bit more details to it, but this is the standard one, and this one looks pretty good. You could also, if you have time, you could change the colors of each of these columns and things like that as well. But it's nice to have the actual number up here so you don't have to depend on this over here. I'm just going to drag this graph out of the way so I can see the graph down below my data table. And once you have this done, that is it for today. All I want you to do is to use the formula to calculate all your averages for all of these. So that's going to be 7 different averages that are going to show up over here, and graph all the averages, all 7 averages and the type of ball, and do the correct labeling on here. And that will be your science assignment for today.